Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Me, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. Akainu has had a great obsession with Luffy ever since the Battle of the Best in Marineford, especially after he learned Luffy's parentage, and now considers him a great threat not only to the Navy, but the world government as well. As of this moment, Akainu knows that Luffy managed to defeat Kaido, but he doesn't know exactly how it happened, which makes the power that Luffy obtained a great mystery for the Fleet Admiral. So in today's video, we're going to talk about how Akainu might react when he finds out that Luffy managed to obtain the legendary power in which even the Gorosei feared the awakening of, and what action he'll take in this situation. But before we dive into the video, if you're new to the channel or even if you've watched a bunch of our videos, we'd be absolutely honored if you'd leave us a like and even subscribe and maybe leave us a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out, especially with that old YouTube algorithm, and it motivates us to make more content. And if you'd like to help out the channel in a bigger way, consider sharing this video or another one of your favorites with a friend. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So my friends, as we know, Luffy stands to be a pretty great threat against the world government and the Navy, and he's pretty much been since his birth, but nobody knew his existence since it was kept secret for many years. This is due to the fact that Dragon, Garp, and Dodon kept it secret over the years, not even telling people the closest to them, preventing any information about Luffy from ever being leaked or disclosed to the entire world. And it's not just his existence, it's the fact that he's the son of the leader of the Revolutionary Army, Monkey D. Garp, as well as grandson to the world's best and pretty much hero of the Marines, Monkey D. Garp, a secret they've both carried around for a long time. However, during the Marineford arc, the truth was revealed to the whole world. Garp tells everyone the truth about Luffy, so then this way Luffy might acquire some great fame around the world as he wished. But at the same time, this attracted the ire of Akainu. For years now, Akainu's wanted to capture Luffy, wanted to stop him at all costs, but the attempts have always failed. And with the end of the Wano arc, a new opportunity arose for him to capture our young rubber captain. Currently, the Straw Hats are on Egghead Island along with Dr. Vegapunk. Both are considered enemies of the world government, which causes a great confusion to happen on the island, which is eventually going to lead to a pretty huge conflict. Right now, CP0 is on Egghead Island to assassinate Vegapunk and take away his technology. Meanwhile, the Navy is moving to this same island to be able to prevent Luffy from causing an even bigger fiasco in the world. Even Admiral Kizaru was summoned to participate in this mission to defeat Luffy, which could lead to a much bigger battle between an Admiral and a Yonko, a confrontation that could leave Kizaru and Akainu quite surprised with Luffy's new powers. This is because during the Wano arc, Luffy managed to awaken his Devil Fruit and obtained the Gear 5th transformation that removes the limitations of his body. And so far, Luffy's used this transformation only against Kaido and Lucci's. No other enemies really know about the powers of this transformation. It's even possible, although much less likely, that Kizaru and Akainu may not even be aware of this new transformation that Luffy has, causing them to underestimate the captain's ability until personally facing this new transformation and seeing what Luffy is and that he actually is the level of a Yonko. If the confrontation happens against Kizaru, Luffy is likely to be able to face him on equal footing, allowing Luffy and his companions to escape from Egghead Island, which is going to make Akainu all the more enraged with Luffy. Again, Akainu wants to capture Luffy at all costs because he's become an immensely huge threat to the world due to the fact that he's not only become a Yonko, but several other reasons, such as being the son of Dragon, the leader of the revolutionaries. Now, Akainu's never had a direct confrontation or traded blows with Luffy. The closest thing to combat that Akainu and Luffy have had was when Luffy threw a wooden pillar in the direction of Akainu and the other admirals, but the admirals easily managed to break it. Also, in the two attempts that Akainu tried to hit Luffy during the Battle of the Best, the first time Ace defended Luffy with his body, and the second, Jinbei defended Luffy, preventing Akainu from ever hitting Luffy. So since then, Akainu has just been watching Luffy's actions around the world, because he never really had an opportunity to meet him again. However, Akainu wanted to face Luffy during the Wano arc, and even now. However, because of his obligations and responsibilities as Fleet Admiral, he just can't go out and confront Luffy when he wants. It's only if it's absolutely necessary. For instance, if Kizaru is defeated on Egghead Island, or some other event in which it would endanger the world government or the Navy. But if that was to come to pass, Akainu could then go to wherever Luffy was and stop him definitively. And his arrogance would end up bringing his own downfall, because he'd be going in unprepared against Luffy, just like Lucci did, and just like Kizaru may be doing right now. Lucci was unprepared and just straight up underestimated Luffy and ended up being easily defeated. And the same could end up happening to Kizaru if the Admiral doesn't take this battle seriously. Luffy has extremely powerful new abilities that we don't even know about and he's still probably learning about. The repertoire of skills that Luffy has achieved thus far with this new transformation is pretty game-changing and potentially limitless, and depends only on Luffy's creativity to alter his body in any way he wants. As I said earlier, the Admirals and Marines are totally unprepared to fight Luffy and the rest of the Straw Hats as well, because during the Wano arc, all of these pirates managed to acquire a huge increase in their skills, which are going to make them all the more difficult for the Navy to beat. At the end of the Wano arc, the Navy nearly had the opportunity to collect information about Luffy's new transformation to better prepare for this current battle. Admiral Ryukugyu was in Wano to face Luffy and was looking to capture him or just simply take his head, but the attempt ended up being unsuccessful because once he entered Wano, Ryukugyu ends up being intercepted by Momonosuke along with his scabbards. This resulted in a brief conflict, but the Admiral clearly had the advantage in this situation, and it even looked like Ryukugyu might actually be able to make it to Luffy until Shanks was quite near the country of Wano, sensed that the Admiral was causing trouble through his haki, so he sent a message to the good Admiral, causing an immense fear to break out and forced him to retreat. Now, if Luffy wasn't already considered a big threat to Akainu, once he obtained the title of Yonko, this pretty much sealed the deal, because now he represents a clear and present danger to the Navy and the world government. But at the same time, because Luffy has now become a Yonko, Akainu can't do anything against him unless Luffy starts the battle, something that's already starting to come to pass since Luffy attacked the CP0 agents on Egghead Island, which means that if the situation in Egghead gets worse, Akainu might be able to personally go to the island and defeat Luffy, possibly even going there with the purpose of taking his life, because all the previous attempts to send the Marines and even admirals to capture Luffy have all been failures. No matter how many times Akainu has ordered Luffy's capture, somehow Luffy always manages to hide or take out the enemies that Akainu ordered to capture him. And it's not like Akainu's tried just once or twice. Akainu's had a pretty good number of tries. See, after failing to take Luffy's life in Marineford, 2 years after this conflict, Akainu got the intelligence that the Straw Hats were going to reunite in Sabati Archipelago. But since he thought it was a false report, he didn't make the point of going there himself, not even sending an admiral to really check out the situation. Akainu just sent some weak lower-level Marines to check it out. However, after discovering that the Straw Hats actually had reunited after the 2-year time skip, he becomes enraged and returns again in search of Luffy and trying to capture him and his companions. Following the events in Dressrosa, Luffy was able to bring down and defeat Doflamingo. Sakazuki was further shocked and angered by the incident, and during an argument with Admiral Fujitora, Sakazuki demanded that he arrest Luffy. But not even Admiral Fujitora was able to capture Luffy, as his brother Sabo appeared at the same moment that Fujitora was trying to capture Luffy. So to protect his brother, Sabo ended up confronting Fujitora, causing the Admiral to fail his mission. During Whole Cake Island arc, it was found out that Luffy was on Big Mom's Island, causing some pretty serious problems, and he was going to Wano after that. But because Luffy was in the land of a Yonko, Akainu couldn't do anything against Luffy. Akainu even feared the skills of Wano's samurai, because this was something totally unknown in an unknown country. So he couldn't risk his Marines going into the country to capture Luffy and any other pirates that happened to be there. Seeing that Akainu's hands were tied in the face of this difficult decision, what to do about Luffy, who was in Wano confronting 2 Yonko, Kizaru offered to go to Wano to not only take care of the Straw Hats and Luffy, but the alliance between the 2 Yonko. However, Akainu forbade him because he didn't know what was going on because they had no information coming out of Wano. But just as Akainu feared, Luffy and his allies managed to defeat the 2 Yonko, namely Big Mom and Kaido. A week after that battle, Luffy officially becomes a Yonko, which made Akainu all the more worried about what was going to happen from now on. But when it comes down to it, Akainu wants to defeat and capture Luffy with his own 2 hands. But Luffy also wants to face off against Akainu, wanting to take revenge for everything that happened in Marineford, in which Akainu took the life of his brother Ace right in front of him. This foreshadows that these 2 characters will have a fight, and it could even be sooner than we expect, leaving only the opportunity for Akainu to realize that his presence in the battle against Luffy is necessary to be able to stop him. So once Kizaru arrives on Egghead Island, and if Luffy manages to defeat him, this is going to demonstrate that Luffy's strength is beyond that of just an admiral, leaving only the Fleet Admiral to resolve the situation, or it may even come down to the fact that the Gorosei will order Akainu to go and defeat Luffy. And whenever we finally get to see the battle between these 2 characters, it's not just going to be an epic battle, but it's going to be a battle of passion and emotion, because these 2 characters, perhaps even more than any other 2 individuals in the world of One Piece, want to fight each other because they have unfinished business. And the one thing that is going to be guaranteed is this may end up being one of the best battles to ever happen in the work of One Piece. But with all that said, my friends, we'd love to know what you think about it now. Do you think that Luffy can pull out the win against Kizaru, or is there going to be some magic moment where Luffy and the Straw Hats are able to escape with Vegapunk? Second, what do you think it would take for the Gorosei or just Akainu to finally lose his mind and make him finally go after after Luffy, with the Gorosei's blessing or without? And finally, how do you think the fight would go between Luffy and Akainu? Let us know what you think in the comments below. So as we wrap up today's video, we'd like to thank you so much for watching our video, especially those of you who've stayed with us here to the very end. Be sure you comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, give us a like and hit that red subscribe button before you head out to take on the rest of your day. Hope to see you all in our next video. Let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.